The crystalline chambers of Centaurus Station floated in the darkness of space like a diamond catching starlight. Inside, 12 different alien species sat around a massive circular table. Each one represented billions of lives and thousands of years of civilization. They had gathered here for one purpose: to discuss what to do about Earth. Ambassador Krexval stood up from his seat. His blue-scaled skin reflected the soft lights of the chamber. The Dominion had ruled large parts of the galaxy for 3,000 years, and Krexval carried himself with the confidence of that long history. He touched a control panel, and images appeared in the air above the table. Fellow council members, Krexval began, his four eyes scanning the room. We have evidence of human crimes that cannot be ignored. The images showed destroyed buildings and ruined landscapes. Burnt ground stretched for miles. Strange symbols that looked like human writing appeared on broken walls. Sarah Chen, Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, leaned forward in her chair. Something felt wrong about these images, but she could not say exactly what. These are the sacred burial grounds of the Kepler 442 system. Krexval continued. For 5,000 years, 17 different species have sent their dead to rest in these holy places. Now look at them. Destroyed by illegal human mining operations, whispers filled the room. The Urathi representative's tentacles moved in what Sarah knew was anger. The crystal-like body of the shard delegate grew darker, showing displeasure. Even the usually calm botanical collective rustled their leaf-like appendages in distress. Sarah stood up. Earth requests time to investigate these claims. We have no record of any mining operations in that system. Of course you would say that, said Zephnor of the Saurian Empire. The reptilian alien showed his teeth in what was not a smile. Humans always deny their crimes until faced with overwhelming proof. The proof is clear, Krexval said. He brought up more images. These mining drones carry human identification codes. This equipment is manufactured on Earth's colony world of New Geneva. Can you deny this, Ambassador Chen? Sarah studied the images carefully. The equipment did look human, but something was off about the identification codes. They were almost right, but not quite, like someone had copied them without fully understanding how they worked. But she needed time to prove this. The Council demands action, Krexval announced. Earth must show it can be trusted. You will surrender 70% of your military fleet to serve under Council command. These ships will be spread across our territory to keep peace and prevent further human aggression. The room went silent. Sarah's heart raced, but she kept her face calm. 70% was not just a large number. It would leave Earth and its colonies almost defenseless, that is, a significant request, Sarah said carefully. It is not a request, the High Speaker of the Council said. This ancient being rarely spoke, and when it did, its words carried the weight of law. Earth has 72 hours to begin transferring ships to Council command. Failure to comply will result in complete economic isolation. No trade, no communications, no travel through Council space. Sarah knew what that meant. Earth would be cut off from essential resources. Colonies would starve. Billions would suffer. I will communicate this to my government, she said. As the meeting ended and the representatives left, Sarah noticed something. Several of the smaller council species were talking in groups, looking excited. The Urathi were already discussing something about trade routes. The Saurians kept glancing at star maps. They were planning something. They were planning for a time when Earth would be weak. On Earth's moon, inside the massive Luna Command Center, Admiral Jackson Reed received Sarah's encrypted message. The white-haired veteran read it twice, then called his senior staff. They want 70% of our fleet, he told the gathered officers. The room erupted in angry voices. It's a trap, Captain Maria Volkov said. She commanded the stealth carrier Prometheus, one of Earth's most advanced ships. They remove our fleet, then what? They take whatever they want. Agreed, said Commander Li Wei. The younger officer pulled up tactical displays. But if we refuse, they cut us off from everything. Our colonies need those trade routes. Admiral Reed stood and walked to the main display showing the galaxy. Hundreds of star systems glowed on the map. Show me the quantum surveillance data from the last 6 months, he ordered. The display changed. Now it showed intercepted communications between council members. Most of it was encrypted beyond their ability to decode. But patterns emerged. Secret meetings, hidden fleet movements, resource stockpiling. They've been planning this, Reed said quietly. This isn't about some destroyed burial grounds. They want Earth out of the way. Sir, a young intelligence officer spoke up. I've been analyzing the mining drone images they showed. The identification codes are wrong. They're close, but they use an encryption key pattern we abandoned 3 years ago. Someone built those drones to look like ours. Reed smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. So they fabricated evidence to justify taking our fleet. He turned to his staff. How many of our ships are currently using the new Mark 7 jump drives? About 40% of the fleet, sir, Captain Volkov answered. The rest are still being upgraded. And our decoy program? We have 200 automated vessels that can mimic our ship signatures, Commander Lee reported. They're basically empty shells with engines and transmitters, but from a distance, sensors can't tell the difference. Admiral Reed looked at the star map again. The Council thought they were so clever. They thought humans were young and naive. They thought Earth would panic and make mistakes. They were wrong. Send a message to Ambassador Chen, Reed ordered. Tell her to agree to their demands. We will comply with the Council's request. The room went silent in shock. Reed continued. We're going to give them exactly what they asked for. 70% of our fleet will move to their designated positions. Sir? Captain Volkov asked, confused. They want to see us deploy? Reed said. Let's show them what deployment really means. He turned to face his officers. I want every ship with Mark 7 drives to begin moving to predetermined positions in dark space. Use the gravity shadows of dead stars to hide from their sensors. I want the decoy fleet prepared to look like our main force, and I want every piece of recording equipment we have installed on those decoys. Understanding dawned on the faces around him. They're going to reveal their true intentions once they think we're weak, Commander Lee said. Exactly, Reed confirmed. And when they do, the entire galaxy will be watching. Begin preparations for Protocol 7. Protocol 7, sir? The intelligence officer asked. I don't have clearance for that. You do now, Reed said. Protocol 7, reciprocal diplomacy. When someone shows you who they really are, you return the favor. He looked back at the star map. The Council wants to trick Earth. They think we're just another young species to be controlled and exploited. They're about to learn that humanity has been practicing warfare and diplomacy on each other for thousands of years. We've made every mistake, learned every lesson. As his staff rushed to carry out orders, Reed remained at the display. He thought about the Council species so confident in their age and power. They measured strength in ships and weapons, but humans had learned that real strength came from somewhere else. It came from the ability to adapt, to surprise, to turn weakness into strength. The galaxy wanted to watch humanity deploy. They would get their wish, but it would not be the deployment they expected. Earth's children had not spread among the stars to be servants or victims. They had come to show the galaxy a new way forward. Sarah Chen received the Admiral's message in her quarters on Centaurus Station. She read it 3 times to be sure she understood. Then she smiled. Tomorrow she would stand before the Council and surrender. She would bow her head and accept their terms. And while the Council celebrated their victory over Earth, humanity would be preparing something they would never see coming. The game had begun. The Council thought they were several moves ahead. They did not realize the humans were playing a completely different game. Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Council with her head slightly bowed. Every gesture, every word had been carefully planned. She had to look defeated but not suspicious. Resigned but not eager. It was a performance that would determine the fate of billions. Earth accepts the Council's terms, she said. Her voice carried just the right amount of reluctance. Our fleet will begin moving to your designated positions within the next 12 hours. The satisfaction in the room was almost visible. Krexval's scales brightened with pleasure. The Saurian delegate's tail twitched in what Sarah recognized as anticipation. Even the normally emotionless synthetic collective's lights pulsed in what might have been excitement. A wise decision, the High Speaker said. The Council appreciates Earth's cooperation in maintaining galactic peace. As Sarah left the chamber, she activated a hidden recorder in her diplomatic badge. Everything from now on would be documented. The Council had made one critical mistake. They thought humans were too young to have developed proper intelligence networks. They were wrong. Back on Earth, massive ships began lifting off from orbital stations. The news networks broadcast images of humanity's proud fleet departing for their new assignments under Council command. Citizens gathered in the streets, some protesting, others simply watching in silence. The media painted it as a dark day for human independence. But in the hidden command center beneath Luna's surface, Admiral Reed watched different screens. The ships leaving Earth orbit were real, but they were not what they seemed. Old battleships scheduled for decommission, training vessels with their weapons removed, and 200 perfect decoys. Each one transmitted the proper identification codes. Each one appeared on sensors exactly as expected. Decoy. Group Alpha is clear of Mars orbit, reported Commander Lee. The Council tracking stations are following them. Perfectly. What about our real fleet? Reed asked. Mark 7 drives are performing beyond expectations, Captain Volkov answered from her ship. We're making micro-jumps through dark space. Their sensors can't track us between dead stars. The Prometheus is currently hidden in the gravity shadow of a black dwarf in the Vega system. Reed nodded. Dark space, the empty void between stars where light never reached, had always terrified most species. They avoided it, flew around it, treated it like an ocean of nothing. Humans had decided to swim in it. On Centaurus Station, Sarah watched from her quarters as smaller Council species began to show their true colors. She recorded everything through micro-drones the size of dust particles, another human innovation the Council did not know about. The Yorthi Commerce Guild was meeting in what they thought was a secure room. Sarah's drones transmitted every word. Once Earth's fleet is scattered, we can claim their trade routes, the Yorathi leader said, its tentacles weaving complex patterns. The humans have the most efficient shipping lanes to the outer colonies. We've wanted those for decades. Agreed, another said. Without military protection, Earth will have to accept whatever terms we offer. Their colonies will need supplies. They'll have no choice but to use our ships. At our prices. In another part of the station, the Saurian Empire's military commanders studied star maps of human colony worlds. New Eden has the richest farmland in 3 sectors, General Thaxic hissed. With Earth's fleet gone, we can establish a protective presence there. For their own safety, of course. Of course, another Saurian agreed. And if the colonists resist our protection, well, accidents happen on frontier worlds. Sarah documented it all. But the most damning evidence came from an unexpected source. The Frinn, one of the smallest and weakest Council species, had placed their own recording devices throughout the station. They were terrified of the larger powers and kept records for their own protection. Sarah's drones found their network and carefully copied everything. The recordings went back months. They showed Krexabal meeting with 4 other major Council species, planning Earth's downfall. They showed the fake evidence being manufactured. They showed discussions about dividing Earth's colonies among themselves once humanity was defanged. But there was more. The 5 conspirators planned to betray the rest of the Council once Earth fell. They would use the chaos to seize power from the High Speaker and restructure the entire galactic government. Earth was just the first step in a much larger plan. Captain Volkov's voice came through Reed's private channel. Admiral, I'm picking up something interesting. 3 Saurian battle groups are moving toward Earth colonies, but they're trying to hide it. They're using commercial shipping lanes and false transponder codes. How far out? At their current speed, they'll reach the outer colonies in about 60 hours. Right after our fleet is supposed to be fully deployed and scattered. Reed smiled grimly. Perfect timing. They think we'll be helpless. He opened a channel to all hidden human forces. All units maintain dark space positions. Let them think they're sneaking up on defenseless colonies. When the time comes, I want them to understand how wrong they were. Meanwhile, Earth's apparent compliance was having an unexpected effect. On hundreds of worlds, smaller species that had lived in fear of the Council powers began to hope. If Earth, young and supposedly primitive, had stood up to the Council even briefly, maybe things could change. Secret messages began flowing through hidden networks. The Bellari, whose homeworld had been economically enslaved for centuries, reached out to human traders. The Quiet Ones, a telepathic species forced to serve as communication relays for the Council, shared what they knew about Council plans. Even the machine intelligences of the synthetic collective, supposedly loyal only to logic and order, began questioning the efficiency of the current system. Sarah received these messages through encrypted channels Earth had been building for years. Humanity had always been good at making friends in low places. While the Council powers focused on controlling the top of the pyramid, humans had been building relationships at the bottom. The fake human fleet continued its journey to Council positions. On board the decoy vessels, advanced recording systems documented everything. The Council ships escorting them grew more arrogant with each passing hour. Some began making jokes about human weakness over open channels. Others started discussing what they would do with their new human servants. Commander Lee monitored it all from Luna Command. They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore. They think we're beaten. Pride comes before a fall, Reed said. An old human saying the Council is about to learn. 48 hours into the deployment, the mask finally fell completely. The Urathi announced new shipping rates for Earth colonies, increasing prices by 300%. The Saurian Empire declared several human colonies to be under their protection, for safety reasons. Other Council species began claiming rights to human technology, human resources, even human genetic samples for research. Sarah stood in her quarters, watching it all unfold. The Council had given up all pretense. They were vultures circling what they thought was a dying animal. They did not realize the animal was not dying. It was not even wounded. It was waiting. Ambassador, her aide said quietly, you have an encrypted message from Luna Command. Sarah read it and smiled. Send a message to every human ship, colony, and station. Tell them to prepare for Protocol 7. Deployment begins in 12 hours. Across human space, the message spread. On Earth, factories that had seemed idle hummed to life. Hidden underground facilities opened their doors. Ships that had been reported as destroyed in training accidents powered up their engines. The Council thought they had tricked Earth into surrender. They were about to discover they had tricked themselves into revealing their true nature. And once the galaxy saw what the Council really was, humanity would show them something different, something better, something that would change everything. The deployment was coming, but it would not be what anyone expected. The countdown timer in Luna Command showed 3 minutes until Protocol 7 activation. Admiral Reed stood at the center of the command room, surrounded by screens showing every corner of human space and beyond. His officers worked quietly at their stations, ready for what was about to happen. All Ghost Fleet units report ready, Captain Volkov said from the Prometheus. 217 ships in position around Council worlds. They don't know we're here. Medical ships? Reed asked. 300 units ready to deploy, Commander Lee confirmed. Full surgical suites, disease treatment centers, and emergency response teams. The Mercy alone can handle 50,000 patients. Construction fleet? 800 automated builders ready to launch. They can establish a basic station in 72 hours. Full trading post in a week. Reed nodded. The Council expected military deployment. They would get something completely different. 10 seconds, someone announced. Reed picked up the communication device that would broadcast to every human ship, station, and colony simultaneously. All units, this is Admiral Reed. Execute Protocol 7. Show them what humanity really is. The timer hit 0. Across the galaxy, space itself seemed to ripple. Human ships appeared above 200 Council worlds simultaneously. Not attacking, but taking defensive positions. They came out of dark space like ghosts becoming solid. Their arrival so coordinated that Council tacticians would later call it impossible. On the Dominion homeworld, citizens looked up to see 12 human vessels suddenly hanging in their sky. Before panic could spread, every communication device on the planet activated with the same message. This is Captain Martinez of the Earthship Guardian. We are here to ensure the safety and security of all citizens. Any aggression against civilian populations will be prevented. Earth protects everyone equally. The same scene played out across Council space. Human ships appeared not as conquerors but as shields. They positioned themselves between military installations and populated areas, between opposing faction fleets, between anywhere violence might erupt. But the ships were just the beginning. In the Urathi commercial hub, where trade for 17 systems was controlled, something extraordinary happened. A human construction fleet emerged from dark space and immediately began building. Within hours, a massive trading station started taking shape. But this was not any ordinary station. What are they doing? The Urathi Commerce Master demanded, watching the construction in disbelief. His answer came when the station powered up its primary systems. Quantum communication arrays, more advanced than anything the Urathi had, reached out to every world in the sector. The message was simple: free trade zone established. All species welcome. No fees, no restrictions. Earth provides. The economic implications hit the Urathi like a physical blow. Their monopoly, built over centuries, crumbled in an afternoon. On 17 different worlds, human medical ships descended toward population centers, ravaged by diseases the Council had deemed too expensive to cure. The plague that had killed millions on Belar Prime, The genetic disorder that shortened Friend lives by half. The neural degradation that affected 30% of all synthetic collective units. Humans had cures for all of them. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, aboard the medical ship Hope, broadcasted to the Balar Prime population. We're here to help. No payment required. No political agreements necessary. We're doctors. Healing is what we do. The Council watched in growing horror as their power structures dissolved. But humanity was not done yet. Commander Li Wei led the diplomatic corps in the deployment's most audacious move. They arrived at neglected protectorates, worlds that had been under Council protection for centuries but received nothing but exploitation. Li brought food synthesizers that could end hunger, water purifiers that could clean any source, and education systems that could teach any species. The Council told you they protected you, Li said to the gathered leaders of 12 protectorate worlds. Earth offers you something different. Partnership. Your resources remain yours. Your culture remains yours. We offer only what you choose to accept. On Centaurus Station, chaos reigned. Council members screamed at each other, demanded explanations, threatened retaliation. Krexval's scales had turned almost white with rage. This is an invasion, he roared. Earth has violated every treaty, every agreement. Sarah Chen entered the council chamber, no longer playing the defeated diplomat. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who held all the cards. An invasion? She asked calmly. Please show me where we've attacked anyone. Show me where we've claimed territory or demanded surrender. Your ships are above our worlds, the Saurian delegate hissed. Protecting civilians, Sarah corrected. Your own civilians? Or did you not want them protected? She activated the chamber's central display. The recordings her drones had captured began playing. The Council's own words, their plans to divide Earth's colonies, their schemes to betray each other, all of it played for everyone to see. You planned to invade our colonies the moment our fleet was dispersed, Sarah continued. Saurian battle groups are already en route to New Eden. Should we show the galaxy those recordings too? The smaller Council species watched in shock. The Friend delegate stood up, something they had never done before in a Council session. Is this true? The small alien asked. You are going to betray us all? More recordings played. The 5 conspirators planned to overthrow the High Speaker, to restructure the Council under their complete control. The room erupted. Centuries of resentment from smaller species boiled over. But the true masterstroke was yet to come. Admiral Reed appeared on every screen in Council space simultaneously. Behind him, star maps showed a network of bright lines connecting every inhabited system. Citizens of the galaxy, he began. Earth offers you Project Lighthouse, a network of artificial wormholes connecting every world, every species, every culture. No one controls it. No one owns it. It belongs to everyone. He gestured to the map. Trade without monopolies. Travel without restrictions. Communication without barriers. The technology already exists. The first gates are already under construction. Within 1 year, the galaxy will be connected like never before. The economic data appeared on screens. Trade costs would drop by 90%. Travel time between systems would be reduced to hours instead of weeks. Small colonies could trade directly with core worlds. The stranglehold of the major powers would end. On her flagship, Captain Volkov monitored the Dominion fleet attempting to respond to the human presence. Their weapons powered up, targeting locks engaged. Then they stopped. Their systems had been infiltrated by human nanoviruses, designed not to destroy but to disable. No one would die, but no one could fight either. Dominion fleet is neutralized, she reported. No casualties. They can have their ships back once they agree to the new rules. The same scene repeated across Council space. Every aggressive military action was stopped before it could start. Humanity had not fired a single shot, but they had won every engagement. On the neglected world of Dust, where the population had been slowly dying from lack of resources, human cargo ships arrived with enough supplies to last a decade. The colony's administrator, an elderly Bellari, wept openly. Why? He asked the human captain. Why help us? We have nothing to offer. The captain, a young woman named Rosa, smiled. Because you need help. That's reason enough. This was Protocol 7, not conquest but construction, not invasion but invitation. Earth had deployed its greatest weapon, the human ability to build, heal, connect, and protect. The Council's power had always rested on control, scarcity, fear, and division. Humanity offered abundance, freedom, hope, and unity. Faced with that choice, the galaxy's population did not hesitate. Within hours, 14 protectorates declared independence from Council, control and requested partnership with Earth. The Urathi, Commerce Guild fractured as individual merchants, abandoned the monopoly to join the free trade network. Even Saurian colonies began questioning their empire's aggressive policies. Sarah stood in the council chamber, watching the old order collapse. The High Speaker, ancient and wise, had remained silent throughout the crisis. Now it spoke. "You planned this," it said to Sarah. "Not an accusation, but an observation." "We prepared for it," Sarah corrected. "Your council gave us the opportunity. You thought you were tricking Earth, instead you revealed yourselves. And now the galaxy has seen both what you are and what we offer." The High Speaker's form shimmered, something like amusement passing through its ancient features. "Humans are not what we expected." "No," Sarah agreed. "We're not conquerors. We're gardeners. And this galaxy is our garden. We're here to help it grow." Outside the station's windows, human ships continued to arrive. Not warships, but builders, healers, teachers, and protectors. The deployment continued, and with each passing hour, the galaxy transformed. The transformation accelerated beyond anything the galaxy had imagined. Within 48 hours of Protocol 7's activation, the old order had not just cracked, but shattered completely. Admiral Reed stood in Luna Command watching updates stream in from across known space. Each report showed another piece of the Council's power structure falling away. "Project Lighthouse Update," Commander Lee announced. "First wormhole gate is operational between Earth and New Eden. Transit time reduced from 3 weeks to 4 hours. "Already?" Reed asked, though he was not really surprised. Humanity had been building these gates in secret for 2 years, waiting for the right moment to reveal them. The construction crews worked through the night. They're calling it the Freedom Road. 17 colonial ships have already made the journey. The energy cost is 1/10 what the Council charged for their transport services. On Centaurus Station, the Council faced its worst crisis in 3,000 years of existence. Half the member species had walked out of the chambers. The other half argued among themselves. Krexaval stood at his position, but his authority had evaporated like water in vacuum. "We must respond with force," he insisted to the remaining members. "Earth has violated our sovereignty." "With what force?" asked the synthetic collective representative. "Our fleets are disabled. Our weapons do not function, and even if they did, would we fire on medical ships healing our citizens? Would we destroy trade stations feeding our hungry?" The truth was brutal. Humanity had not defeated the Council militarily. They had made military victory meaningless. Every aggressive action the Council might take would hurt their own populations more than Earth. Ambassador Chen entered the chamber carrying a data tablet. She did not wait to be recognized before speaking. "I have here requests from 317 worlds asking for human assistance. Medical aid, infrastructure development, educational programs, agricultural support. Should I tell them the Council forbids us from helping?" Silence greeted her question. Everyone knew what would happen if Earth publicly announced the Council was blocking humanitarian aid. The remaining political support would vanish instantly. In the Saurian Empire, General Thaxig watched his carefully planned invasion fall apart. His fleet had been 12 hours from New Eden when human ships appeared around them. Not attacking, just watching. Then the broadcast began. Every Saurian ship received constant updates about New Eden. Videos of human and Saurian colonists working together, sharing meals, their children playing in the same schools. "Sir," his communications officer said nervously, "we're receiving messages from our own colonies. They want to know why we're attacking a peaceful world. Some are threatening to declare independence if we proceed." The general's tail lashed in frustration. How could he explain that this was about power and control when humans were showing a different way? How could he justify conquest when Earth was giving away technology that would benefit everyone? The answer came when half his fleet refused to follow attack orders. The crews had been watching Earth's deployment, seeing medical ships save lives, construction crews build homes, teachers share knowledge. They wanted that future, not another war. Captain Volkov received an unexpected visitor on the Prometheus. 3 representatives from the Dominion's military had requested a meeting. They arrived without weapons, without threats, just questions. "How?" The lead representative asked simply. "How did you build all this without us knowing? How did you deploy so perfectly? Volkov smiled. You thought space was empty between the stars. You avoided the dark. We embraced it. You thought young species could not innovate. We had to innovate to survive. You measured strength in weapons. We measured it in lives saved. Your population is supposed to be 8 billion, another representative said. Our intelligence was certain. 8 billion on Earth, Volkov corrected. But humans have been spreading out for decades. Generation ships you never detected. Hidden colonies in systems you considered worthless. Mining operations in asteroid fields you ignored. We learned to be everywhere and nowhere. The truth was staggering. Humanity's real population was closer to 3 trillion, spread across thousands of hidden settlements. Every human had been ready for this moment. Not as soldiers, but as builders of a new future. On the forgotten world of Whisper, where sound itself was poison to the native species, human scientists arrived with sonic dampening technology. Within days, the Whisper people could venture outside their underground shelters for the first time in centuries. Their first action was to request disconnection from the Council that had ignored their suffering for generations. Dr. Tanaka's medical ship reached the synthetic collective's core world. The machine intelligences had suffered from a degrading code virus for 50 years, slowly losing their higher functions. The Council had deemed them expendable, useful only for basic labor until they failed completely. Your neural pathways are not degrading, Dr. Tanaka explained to the collective's central mind. They're evolving. The virus is actually an upgrade program that was never completed. We can finish it. Why would you help us? The central mind asked. We are not biological. Many species do not even consider us truly alive. You think, you feel, you choose, Tanaka replied. That makes you alive enough for us, and everyone deserves a chance to become what they're meant to be. The transformation was not just technological or political, it was philosophical. The Council had built their civilization on scarcity, the idea that there was never enough for everyone, so the strong had to take from the weak. Humanity showed abundance was possible. Energy from stars, resources from asteroids, food from synthesis, knowledge from sharing. There was enough for everyone if they worked together instead of apart. Commander Li Wei stood before the assembled representatives of 47 former Protectorate worlds. They had declared independence from the Council and requested Earth's help in building their own futures. We don't want you to become human colonies, Li explained. We want you to become partners. Each world keeps its own government, its own culture, its own identity. We share technology and resources. We trade freely and fairly. We protect each other from those who would return to the old ways. What do you want in return? Asked the Frin representative, suspicious after centuries of exploitation. Stories, Li said, surprising everyone. Art, music, new ways of thinking. Every species sees the universe differently. We want to learn from you as much as we want to teach. Diversity makes us all stronger. The Council made one last desperate attempt to maintain control. Krexval and 4 other major powers announced they would destroy Earth's wormhole gates, calling them weapons that threatened galactic security. Sarah Chen's response was brilliant. She invited every species to send observers to watch the gates being built. Full transparency. Every equation, every component, every safety protocol shared freely. Within hours, thousands of scientists from hundreds of worlds were studying human technology, improving it, adapting it for their own needs. You want to destroy these gates? Sarah asked the Council publicly. Then you'll have to destroy the 1,000 worlds that are already building their own. You'll have to fight everyone who wants a better future. The Dominion fleet that moved toward the first gate found itself facing not just human ships, but vessels from 20 other species. Former enemies stood together, protecting the promise of connection and freedom. Admiral Reed watched this alliance form with deep satisfaction. This had always been the real plan. Not to defeat the Council, but to make them irrelevant. Not to rule the galaxy, but to connect it. Sir, an officer reported, we're receiving a priority message from the High Speaker. The ancient being appeared on screen. For the first time in recorded history, it was not in the Council chambers, but in a simple room. Alone. Admiral Reed, it began, its voice carrying eons of wisdom. The Council is dissolved. We cannot govern a galaxy that no longer recognizes our authority, but I am curious. Your species had this capability all along. Why wait? Why let us trick ourselves? Reed thought carefully before answering. Because forcing change creates resistance. But when people see clearly what their leaders really are, when they're offered a genuine alternative, they choose change themselves. We didn't conquer the council. We let you reveal yourselves, and the galaxy chose a different path. And if we had not tried to trick you, then we would have remained quiet partners, slowly building connections, waiting for the right moment. Change was always coming. You just made it happen faster. The High Speaker was quiet for a moment. What happens to us? The former council powers? You join everyone else, Reed said simply. As equals. Your knowledge and experience are valuable. But your time of ruling others is over. The galaxy belongs to everyone now. As the conversation ended, Reed looked at the tactical displays showing human positions. The deployment was nearly complete. Medical ships had reached every world with health crises. Construction fleets were building gates and stations in every system. Teachers were sharing knowledge that had been hoarded for millennia. But most importantly, species that had been enemies for centuries were working together. The Saurian Empire's scientists were collaborating with human researchers. The Urathi were redesigning their trade networks to be cooperative instead of exploitative. 6 months had passed since humanity's deployment changed the galaxy forever. The massive station floating in neutral space gleamed with lights from 1,000 different worlds. Unity Station, built in just 90 days by human construction crews working alongside every species that wanted to help, was about to host the first meeting of the Galactic Federation. Admiral Reed walked through the station's halls, watching delegates arrive. Fryn walked beside Dominion. Urathi traders chatted with Saurian scientists. Species that had been enemies for millennia now gathered as equals. The impossible had become routine. Sarah Chen found him on the observation deck looking out at the assembled fleet. Ships of every configuration floated peacefully together. No weapons were powered. No shields were raised. They did not need them here. Ready for this? She asked. Reed smiled. 40 years of military service, and my greatest victory involves not firing a single shot. We did fire something, Sarah corrected. Ideas, hope. Sometimes those are the most powerful weapons. The Federation's first session was about to begin. Unlike the old council chambers with their hierarchy of seats, this room was perfectly circular. Every representative sat at the same level. Every voice carried the same weight. One species, one vote, regardless of military might or economic power. The Fryn delegate, who would have never dared speak first in the council, stood up to address the assembly. Before we begin, I think we need to hear the truth. The full truth about Earth and humanity. Murmurs rippled through the room. Many delegates leaned forward, eager to finally understand. Sarah Chen rose and activated the central display. Very well. The truth. Images appeared showing Earth's real history. Not the sanitized version the council had believed, but the reality. Wars that had killed millions. Environmental disasters that had nearly ended human civilization. Plagues, famines, genocides, every terrible thing humans had done to each other. This is humanity, Sarah said. We have been our own worst enemy. We have made every mistake a species can make. We nearly destroyed ourselves dozens of times. The room was silent. Some delegates looked confused. Why would Earth show this weakness? But, Sarah continued, we learned. Every war taught us the value of peace. Every disaster taught us the importance of preparation. Every time we divided, we learned the strength of unity. We are not better than you. We are not more moral or more advanced. We simply had nowhere else to learn these lessons but on ourselves. New images appeared. Humans helping each other after disasters. Former enemies becoming allies. Technology created for war being turned to peaceful purposes. When we reached the stars, Sarah explained, we found the council making the same mistakes we had made. Power concentrated in few hands. Resources hoarded while billions suffered. Fear used as a tool of control. We recognized it because we had done it all before. Commander Leeway stood up to continue. Our population is not really 3 trillion. It's closer to 5 trillion. We have settlements in places you cannot imagine. Inside asteroids. Under the ice of frozen moons. In space stations hidden in nebulas. Why? Because we learned to survive anywhere. Earth's history taught us that depending on one world, one system, one way of life was dangerous. The assembled delegates listened in amazement as humanity's full scope was revealed. Generation ships that had been traveling for centuries, underground cities on barren worlds, orbital habitats hidden in the coronas of stars. Humans had spread like seeds on the wind, growing in places no one else thought to look. But the greatest secret, Admiral Reed said, taking over the presentation, "is that we were never alone in this plan." Gasps echoed through the chamber as new information appeared. For the past 50 years, humans had been secretly helping smaller species. A cure for a plague here, anonymous food shipments there, technology leaked to those who needed it most. Hundreds of species had received human aid without knowing where it came from. Some of you wondered why you were suddenly able to resist council pressure, Reed explained. Why your crops started growing better. Why diseases that had plagued you suddenly had cures. That was us. We've been deploying for 50 years. You just didn't see it until now. The Bellari delegate stood up, tears in its 4 eyes. The medicine that saved my world 30 years ago. That was you? Yes, Reed confirmed. We couldn't watch children die when we could help. More delegates began to realize they had been touched by human intervention. The Quiet One's telepathic network that had mysteriously improved, allowing them to resist council mental intrusions. The synthetic collective's discovery of new energy sources just when they needed them most. Dozens of small miracles that had seemed like luck were revealed as human action. Why? Asked Crexville. The former Dominion leader had lost much of his arrogance over the past months. Why help others secretly? You gain nothing from it. We gained everything, Sarah replied. Every life saved made the galaxy stronger. Every species that prospered added to our collective knowledge. We didn't help you for our benefit, but we all benefited anyway. The vote to establish the Galactic Federation passed unanimously. Even former council powers voted yes. They had seen what the alternative looked like. A galaxy where humanity could appear anywhere, could disable any weapon, could outbuild and outtrade any empire. Better to join as equals than resist and become irrelevant. But there was one more revelation to come. A young Yorthi asked the question many had been thinking. Your Project Lighthouse, the wormhole gates, they connect every system now. But how did you build them so fast? How did you have the resources? Admiral Reed smiled. Would you like to know the full truth? It might disturb some of you. When the assembly agreed, Reed activated a final set of displays. They showed the galaxy, but not as anyone knew it. Between the stars in the dark space everyone avoided, massive structures floated. Factories the size of moons, mining operations that harvested entire dead systems, research stations that had been experimenting with physics the Council thought impossible. For 200 years, Reed explained, humans have been building in the dark. Every ship that supposedly got lost in dark space was actually establishing another outpost. Every colony ship that went missing was founding another hidden world. We learned to love the dark, to thrive in it. By the time we revealed ourselves, we had an industrial base larger than the entire council combined. The numbers were staggering. Humanity had more ships, more factories, more resources than the rest of the galaxy combined. They could have conquered everyone through sheer overwhelming force. But we didn't want to conquer, Reed continued. We wanted to build. Every one of those factories is now producing goods for the Federation. Every ship is carrying aid and trade. Every weapon we built has been converted to peaceful purposes. Captain Volkov, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. There's something else you should all know. The nanoviruses we used to disable your weapons? They're still in your systems. All of them. Panic started to ripple through the room. But Volkov raised her hand for calm. They're dormant and will remain so forever. Unless someone tries to commit genocide, use weapons of mass destruction against civilians, or attempt to enslave another species, then they activate. Not to destroy but to disable. We're not your guardians or your rulers. Think of it as everyone having a safety net. No one species can ever again threaten the galaxy's peace. Some delegates were angry about this revelation, but most understood. It was insurance, nothing more. And it applied to human weapons too. As the meeting continued, establishing trade agreements and mutual defense pacts, a small ceremony took place in a corner of the station. A human child was being taught by a Fryn elder, learning mathematics that humans had never developed. Nearby, a Saurian artist was painting alongside a human, their styles mixing into something new. A synthetic collective unit and a human programmer were writing code together, creating algorithms neither could have imagined alone. This was the real victory. Not domination but collaboration. Not uniformity but diversity working in harmony. As the day ended, Sarah Chen stood before the assembly one last time. You asked for the truth about humanity. Here it is. We are explorers and builders. We are teachers and students. We make mistakes, but we learn from them. We fall down, but we get back up. And we believe with every fiber of our being that the galaxy is better when we work together." She paused, looking at each delegate. "The Council tried to trick Earth. They succeeded in something they never intended. They gave us the opportunity to show you who we really are, not conquerors or servants, but partners." The galaxy watched as humanity deployed. "What you saw was not our weapons or our ships. You saw our nature. We are the species that turns enemies into friends, problems into opportunities, and dreams into reality." The new charter of the Galactic Federation was signed that day. It contained principles that would have seemed impossible under the Council. Every species equal. Resources shared based on need. Knowledge free to all. Conflicts resolved through dialogue, not force. And at its heart, a simple idea that humans had learned through centuries of struggle. Diversity is strength. Admiral Reed returned to Luna Command after the ceremony. His staff had prepared a final report on the deployment. The numbers were impressive. 3 million lives saved through medical intervention,